What is happening? Hope everyone is doing well. We have a Starbucks Grande Blonde Latte. So I want to chat about automate, delegate, remove. Today, I want to chat about mindset. Today, I want to chat about becoming a lifelong learner. Today, we are talking about sales processes. So we're going to entitle these live sessions, Coffee with Cody. Hello, how is everyone doing today? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Cody. Sorry I'm a little bit late today. I was working on some client work and got distracted and realized it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's time to chat a little bit about showing up daily. And even if you're late, I'm going to talk about showing up daily and the importance of this and what this has really done for our business, what this can do for your business if you're an entrepreneur. If this is your first time tuning into Coffee with Cody, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. 27 episodes in. Want to give you a heads up. We are live on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music. All these episodes you can listen back to. And really the goal of Coffee with Cody is really to educate, really to get all the information that we're getting from Studio PTPO podcasts from entrepreneurs, business owners, and get it into your hands specifically so that you can digest it. So whether you're listening to the podcast on the treadmill, whether you're running outside, whether you're at work, wherever you are, my goal is to really get the information that I'm learning from all these amazing entrepreneurs directly to your feed. Thank you once again for tuning into Coffee with Cody. Really, really appreciate that. I'm live inside the Studio PTPO Marketing Hacks group. Shout out to the bunch of business owners that are there. We're getting some more people that are joining. Free Marketing Hacks group. Just literally type in Studio PTPO Marketing Hacks on Facebook, and you can get access to a free business accelerator course. Usually I charge about $297 for that course. It's free as long as you get inside the Studio PTPO Marketing Hacks group. So today I want to chat about, I really want to chat about showing up daily. And the reason I want to chat about this is because I feel like it's something that when people are so focused on the views and they're so focused on how many people watch their content that they're not producing daily and they're not showing up and providing value daily. And I recently heard a Brendan Burchard podcast. He was talking recently. I actually just hired his team to do some coaching with me personally in order to just, so I can give really back to more to my community, more to my audience. And something he mentioned on this podcast that really hit with me hard was the idea that just because you don't have 1,000 people listening to you or 15,000 people listening to you or 100,000, that doesn't mean anything. Because if you begin to look at the people that follow you and the people that really watch your content as students, and you begin to adopt the teacher mindset, you'll realize that whether you impact one person's life, two people's lives, 100 people's lives, it's all the same at the end of the day. Because what you're doing as an entrepreneur, what you're doing in content, or whatever you are essentially explaining in the content that you create, whether it be video, whether it be audio, whether it be written, you essentially have the ability, your words have the ability to impact somebody's lives and potentially change somebody's lives. So that's really my encouragement about showing up daily. And I want to kind of dive into what this can look like, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you run a shipping food company, whether you are a physiotherapist, whatever you do as an entrepreneur, whatever you do as a content creator, my encouragement is just that you find ways to communicate whatever your message is. So if you're a real estate agent, I want to give you some key tactics because I do have a lot of real estate agents that essentially are friends with me on Facebook. We have a lot of real estate agents that are in our ecosystem. So I really want to contextualize a lot of my advice to you that you can essentially just show up daily and provide value. One of the best ways that I've really heard a lot of real estate agents over the last little while speak out about creating content is just looking at themselves like a community ambassador. And if you can look at yourself as a community ambassador as you create content, that can really shift the perspective for creating content. So for example, if I was a real estate agent, the first thing that I would do is I would start to interview different restaurant owners. I would start to interview different people from different schools, maybe get a principal on a show and start doing more lives like this. I want to give a shout out to one of my students from a recent case study program that we did, Wade Hamlin, who actually has started interviewing restaurant owners during this whole pandemic. the amount of brand awareness that he has built over the last little while, just simply by pivoting just a little bit and just repositioning his messaging, is absolutely incredible. And there are people now that know about him and the fact that he's a realtor because of the fact he's done this. So you can really what interviewing people does is it's twofold. Like part of what we do whenever we interview guests on our show, it gives me the opportunity as we've grown to interview some of these amazing entrepreneurs. It's very hard for me to get 35, 45 minutes with somebody like Alex Sharfan to talk about business, or somebody like Simon Bowen to talk about business, if I didn't have a podcast that I can essentially ask all the questions that I want answered, but also that my community wants answered, my audience wants answered. So that's one element. The other element, and when we first started doing content, I always told all the people that I was working with, I'm like, at the end of the day, if somebody shares the piece of content that you're actually creating, you are hacking the attention of their network, which is absolutely incredible. If they're thinking of content in such a way where they're producing their own content, they have somebody on their team that's producing content. If your content's really good and you're asking really hard hitting questions, you might even end up in their content, or they might share that content. So if it's a restaurant, a business owner, maybe somebody like, if you're a real estate agent, here's a great idea. This is something that I would honestly do immediately. What I would start doing is start interviewing public school principals, and that would be freaking awesome, because people that are following you, if you're selling homes to families and you have all the in about the different public schools in the different communities, or getting somebody from the hospital on a podcast or a show, you really become a community ambassador and you bring the community together. So if you're a real estate agent, take that advice, do that. But the biggest thing that I would say, and the biggest encouragement I would have, is the more content that you can produce, and the more, and what I mean content is, like, you have to figure out the way you communicate best on each platform. Is it video? Is it audio? So as a podcast you're going to start, is it going to be vlogs? The reason I like vlogs, and I'm using a program right now called StreamYard, is because I can strip the audio and put it on iTunes afterwards. And then I can also transcribe this video afterwards and make a blog out of it we're now using a program called otter.ai. And it allows us to create the content and then, create this one long form piece of content. We can cut it into short snippets to use on different platforms like Instagram, but we can also take the audio, put it on iTunes, which we do. And now we're taking essentially the transcription of what I'm talking about and going to create a blog out of it. So there's so many different ways to communicate what you want to communicate, but consistency at the end of the day is the thing that's going to build your business. And this goes the same for building a business. And something that I've realized over the last little while is consistency at the end of the day is going to be the thing that, if you showing up day in and day out. I have committed, I'm 27 episodes in, and I'm just getting started with this Coffee with Cody. We're finally just getting the episodes on iTunes, but I've dedicated myself to show up daily, provide value, whether there's 4 people listening or 50 people listening or 150. I don't care. My biggest thing is I just want to provide that massive value back to the entrepreneurial community. And whether you're listening to this back on iTunes, I want to get this content out because I believe a lot in what we're doing, because what I'm doing is I'm just learning from all these different people, taking all this information and trying to get it back to you to provide massive value back to you and your business, especially right now more than anything, which is part of the reason why we started inside of our studio PTP Marketing Hacks called Fireside Chats, which we're trying to revamp and do something a little bit different, but which is part of the reason I'm doing these Coffee with Codys. So if you have any questions you want answered around marketing, branding, we're connected with some of the top Facebook marketers in the world, top business owners in the world. And, really my goal about showing up daily is to try to provide massive value back to the business community, the entrepreneurial community. And whether there's one person listening or whether there's 5 people listening, the biggest thing the best quote I've ever been told is, people aren't afraid to start. They're afraid to start small. And really early on, like honestly, like that was my struggle. Like, have you ever struggled with like wanting to start because you're just, you're afraid to start small? Like, I've been there. Like, when I first started a brand prior to Studio PTPO, I started a brand called Create Purpose. And I was so focused on the number count because that was like my big focus of like, I need to reach a mass amount of people. But how can the universe trust you with 100,000 followers if you can't be trusted with 1,000 or even 100? At the end of the day, and this is something that I've really tried to shift my perspective over the last little while of like, whether there's one person listening or 5 people listening, at the end of the day, it's showing up daily, and it's the consistency that a lot of people don't see in the gradual build towards building a business. And I equate a lot of this content creation towards building a business. It took me years to really, like, before things started to unlock and for people to really understand what we were doing as a business. And it's going to be the same thing with content. It's exactly the same thing. Things take time. Results don't happen overnight. And it's the same thing with lead generation with our business. Results don't happen overnight. But ultimately, if what I'm doing provides value, which I've seen people actually message me privately and say, thank you so much for sharing this information. One person does that it's all worth it for me. So the biggest thing I would say about showing up daily or even showing up weekly, this goes into multiple facets of your business, in my opinion. And this is not just even my opinion. This is other marketers that are way more successful than me are saying you should be emailing your list once a week with valuable information, whether it be a YouTube video that you created. I created a video last week about video content creation. I sent it out to all of our text subscribers and all of our email subscribers. And the text literally was just, hey, just want to give you a heads up that I recorded a video to help you step up your content creation game. Make sure you go check it out on our page. And tons of people replied to that message because it was high value content. We have we don't have a massive subscriber list, but we have a good subscriber list of emails and text subscribers. So I want to share that. I want to make sure that they get that information so that they can step up their content creation game. Because I remember early on, and I posted about this today about honoring the struggle. I remember early on in this whole entire game. Like, you look at somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk, who just gives away so much information for free. And you're just like, I learned so much from him. So the same thing with Brendan Burchard as of late about just personal development. It's like, how can I just show up and be a teacher to teach the things that I've learned from just other people? Like, really, that's at the end of the day, and really just interviewing. So if you're an entrepreneur, a physiotherapist, just interviewing different people, because the more that you're a learner, and this is something I've learned over the last little while, is the more that you're a learner, the more that you are able to give back, because you're in a constant state of flow where you're learning and giving back and learning and giving back. And that's really been my journey over the last few years. And that's why I'm so committed to these Coffee with Cody's, is really just to give massive value back. But ultimately, everything with content comes back down to consistency. How consistent are you with creating content? Are you showing up daily? Are you posting daily? The people that are really winning on social media right now, like the real estate agents that are really winning on social media, they're doing 2 things. They're running ads, number 1. So they're running Facebook ads. So they're constantly retargeting people, all that stuff. The other element is they're showing up daily, like literally day in and day out, they're producing content. And content, stop overthinking content. Content is like an interview. Content is you just writing a quick post. Content is just sharing a little bit about your life. That's really what content is at the end of the day. That would be my encouragement, is stop overthinking things. And if you're just unsure of where to start, like, don't get me wrong, I was really unsure of where to start. Like, I definitely feel with that. We have a 60-day social sprint that I'd love to share with you. Like, just comment the word social below and I'll get you access to a quick content calendar. Because my goal, my hope is that you just start. Because once you start, you get better and better and better and better. I had no marketing experience 4 years ago. And I just dove into this and I learned the world. I got connected with the right people, and I'm constantly evolving, constantly learning. That's really my encouragement, is show up daily, schedule the time to do things, and just watch all things change. And don't get caught up in the view count, because getting caught up in the view count is the quickest way to just, it's demoralizing sometimes. And it's the quickest way to stop doing. So that's really my encouragement today. Show up daily, produce content, whatever content, works best for you. Especially if you're a real estate agent, you have to be, NAR put out a stat saying that 50% of people, I think it was in 2019, NAR put out a stat saying 50% of people found their home online. That's a lot of people that are finding homes online. So if you're not active in the social media space and you're wondering why your real estate business isn't growing, it's because you're not active, because you're not telling your story in the online space. The people that are winning, and I see people that pop up in my feed all the time. I give a shout out to one of our clients, Andrew, who's posting day in and day out. So he's running ads, but he's showing up and producing content on the day in and day out basis. So that's really my encouragement to you guys is whether whatever you're doing, if you're a real estate agent, you need to produce more content day in and day out. It's not good enough to just produce one video for the month or one video for the week. It's like day in and day out, tell your story, and it's a repeat. And even taking some of that old content and repurpose it. But that's really my encouragement to you today. I hope everyone's having a great day. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Coffee with Cody. Really appreciate your attention. If you have any questions around marketing, branding, personal development, you have any questions about some of the interviews I've done over the last little while? We've like Cabby on the Street, Alex Sharfan, Simon Bowen. We have some really cool guests coming up in the next couple of weeks that I'm not going to quite divulge yet, but really appreciate all your time. Really appreciate your intention, and go subscribe to us. Go subscribe to Coffee with Cody on iTunes, Spotify, whatever platform that you're using to listen to podcasts. We'd love if you could give us a rating. Really means the world to us. If it's easier to listen to these lives that way, that's part of the reason that we did it. Hope you have a great day. We'll chat with you soon. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Coffee with Cody, and we'll see you tomorrow.